You want to keep the train going?
Yeah,
Yes.
let's go.
So my second one, which we actually had discussed before this, and I think this one, I don't know if it could be a full episode, but we could go on and on for this one. So I think we'll probably keep this one light. But the what if is, what if Cobain doesn't shoot himself,
Allegedly.
allegedly. So what if Cobain is still alive? So the obvious is Nirvana would have continued beyond where they ended. Now it's a question of how much further, who knows. And then it gets into Dave Grohl. Does he ever, if Nirvana sticks around, does he ever get out behind the drum kit? So does Foo Fighters still exist? So those are the kind of the high level punchlines that I came up with. It's like, what happens then? Are they still a band in 2020?
So what you're saying is if Cobain doesn't die, Taylor Hawkins is still drumming for Alanis Morissette.
That's super nerdy, but I like it because I knew that too. But a lot of people
Th-
probably don't know
That's
that.
yeah, he drummed before if anybody's watched that Foos DVD, I think it's in there.
Yep.
From when they put out Wasting Light back 10 years ago. Yeah, if he drummed for Alanis before taking over as drummer for the Foo Fighters, because he was a drummer for the first couple of albums, because he wasn't really keen on the sound that he was getting from the guy they had there. But then he brought Taylor in, and obviously the rest is history as far as the Foo Fighters go. So
Yep. Yeah, had to explain that because it would be completely random to a lot of people.
I know it was for us, but I don't mind explaining. This is where my brain goes, man. I mean, you give me a Cobain dies, I get a. Oh, what about Taylor with the Alanis Morissette?
Yeah, during Jagged Little Pill and everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. Which is a banger of an album. Don't get me wrong. I loved it. Probably because Taylor was on it. Honestly,
Those drums just hit different.
they do. They really do. After that, Alanis was kind of lost her way.
One hand in her pocket into
the other one
insignificance.
Hailing the drummer. Hailing Ryan Reynolds. More nerdery that nobody knows but us, probably. But whatever.
But yeah, I mean, I guess where like the conclusion that I put on this is not a chance in hell if Cobain is still alive in 2020. Nirvana is still a band. No way.
I agree.
Really?
Yeah, it's almost like the Sublime thing. It's like there was so much going on there that they probably would have continued, but not 30 years or 25 years later or whatever it was.
I'd like to think he got clean-ish and was maybe a political pundit of some sort. You know what I mean? Like just, became an activist, became somebody who was just fighting for, like Morello-esque, where he just wanted, was still a great musician, would still tour occasionally with Nirvana just as like one-offs here and there, but also, devoted to some of the causes that he had in his heart going back when he wasn't doing drugs.
Wow. Yeah, I'm thinking about this on the spot, but I'm thinking, okay, so if they broke up and Kurt's still alive because the other two are still alive, I think that he would maybe, probably be writing music as a solo artist, maybe.
I could
Kind of
see
like that David Gilmour thing I was talking about earlier, because he's such a fantastic songwriter and amazing voice. And we talked about that Unplugged album a few times, and it's like that really showcases his ability as a singer songwriter in an acoustic format. So I'm like, okay, so if he did this if he went solo, he might just continue doing it like that and be at these big festivals where it's like just Kurt Cobain. But the other side of me was thinking, maybe if they did stay together, would they just do one-off shows once in a while?
I think that's it. I think it's the Coachella. Are they going to do a full U.S. tour? I could not see that.
Yeah, I don't
maybe
see it.
once, but it's not happening every summer.
Yeah, limited kind of thing, one-off thing, like doing Glastonbury or like these really big, like you're traveling all the way to Europe to see their one show for like the last 10 years kind of thing, like a David Bowie type thing. Yeah, I think you're right. I was trying to think like, because I feel like, Alice in Chains is still going. Obviously, they have a new singer. Pearl Jam's still going, and most of the full lineup. Soundgarden was, or reunited in '09 until Chris also killed himself, Chris Cornell. But I see, and I think that's where I'm thinking about with the Cobain thing, because Chris Cornell as a solo artist was fantastic, mostly except for I wasn't a big fan of Scream.
Yeah.
I think that was pressure from the label to put out something to sell records, but it's a pop record that doesn't make any sense for anyone that's curious. Yeah, man, that's a great. My wheels are spinning right now trying to think about it. It's just mind-boggling.
You think? Okay, so Nirvana, they're all still alive. They do some one-offs here and there. The Coachellas, the Glastonbury, the Boston Calling, stuff like that. Lollapalooza, maybe. Do we get Foo Fighters at all? Like, I hope we do. I think we get something because Dave can't sit still. Like, we know that. Dave was the drummer in Queens of the Stone Age for an album that he's done. Was it Probot? One of those.
Yeah.
He's been in some.
Probot.
He's writing stories right now on Instagram. Like, he'd do something. So we get something from Dave that
sure.
that we all probably know, love, and cherish still because he just can't sit still. So is it the amount of Foo Fighters that we've gotten? Probably not, but it's probably similar. And, I like Foo Fighters more. I want all the Foo Fighters, so I'm fine with that. But as long as we would still get some of that, I'd definitely be okay with it.
What's the chronological timeline here? So when does Cobain die?
94.
Yep.
Right.
April 5th, right? It just happened. The anniversary just happened.
That's right. So then when does self-titled Foos come out?
95.
Yeah, and there was all Dave, right? He did everything. He played drums, he played guitars, he wrote the songs. That was all him.
You see where I'm going with this? It's almost lending itself to him having that on the side even during Nirvana.
Beforehand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that, but
He may have, though.
although he's a
Again,
freak
you
and he
can't
might have just
tell.
put all those songs together right after that happened,
It's hard to tell. I know that he did that whole record was him. He didn't put his name on it because he wanted the music to be judged as the music, not as this is Nirvana's drummer who put out this record. So, and obviously it did well, and it turned into Foo Fighters being one of the biggest rock bands of the last 30 years, 25 years. So,
yeah, to a little nerd tidbit on that. He wanted the band, so he wrote that album as a therapy session, kind of, as far as I'm concerned, because of Kurt's death. I think he was writing while in Nirvana, just like a lot of musicians do, will just like write music just for the sake of writing, get these ideas out of their heads. They're not going crazy. Or
forget them, because I forget shit.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. And I think the Foo Fighters thing, like you said, Tone, is exactly right. He didn't want it to be, this is Dave Grohl solo. This is just like something I did. And I think he wanted it to be a band no matter what. So if he did make this, come to some, form to something, he wanted it to be a band. And part of that was something like a Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, where it's like a group. Well, to that point, he might have actually gone to the Heartbreakers because Tom Petty had recruited him to be the drummer for Tom Petty. So he might have just joined Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers and been their drummer until Tom Petty recently passed away a few years ago, which I think might have actually maybe happened just because the Heartbreakers are such fantastic songwriters, and Grohl as a drummer for them would have changed their sound dramatically, but he might have gone that route too. So he had some options, I think he was asked to join the Heartbreakers.
I forgot about that Petty thing because he definitely almost did it.
Oh yeah. He was asked to do it. I think he did at least one gig on Saturday Night Live or something like that.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, Grohl is, like you said, there's no way he would have just stopped making music. Which route would he have gone? I don't know, because he's a big metal fan, like we were talking about last time with the Grohl stories and his fandom for bands like Pantera. He could have made a metal band, you know what I mean? But instead he did a metal project. He did a stoner rock project. He did super group with Them Crooked Vultures with John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin, for Christ's sake. Like, the guy is awesome. Super, just fantastic artist.
So here's a different what if that spawned off of this one, because this is what we do here. We tangent. Yep. Cobain lives. very, very popular right before this. He passes, obviously. Dave wants to do all these other things just because he's Dave.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the reason that Nirvana breaks up?
Oh,
Probably,
wow.
right? Maybe Nirvana breaks up in 1998 because Dave's like, I got these 2 albums on board. I want to, Homie's calling me to be drummer on this Queen's record,
Yep.
in a year or two. And maybe he's just like, I got too much going on, man. I don't want to just do Nirvana anymore. I'm ready to be Dave
Wow.
Grohl of all these different things because that's what he is now.
Jeez.
I think yes. I think that's the end of it. I see Cobain as the kind of guy that's like, okay, you want to do that, then we're done. Like,
Yeah.
in not even in like a spiteful way, just like, all right, this has run its course. I'm on to the next thing, or I'm done with music,
Absolutely.
or I'm disappearing into the woods or something.
Yeah. Yeah,
That would be cool.
the inner band dynamics that we'll never really know. But if you watch like the documentary, I think I mentioned Metallica last time. I do a lot. James Hetfield, the original, or what? Not the original. He replaced Cliff Burton, but one of the bassists for Metallica wanted to put out a band, Echo Brain, little side project band. And James was like, "Oh, fuck you! You want to do your own project? You're out." But he didn't officially fire him. He was just like, "Screw you! Metallica is our baby. If you want to do something that's going to distract from Metallica, go fuck yourself." And it's like Echo Brain was ever going to like trump Metallica in the first place.
And I
But
think
it
they
shows-
come
stunk.
on.
Yeah, they stunk.
Yeah. But it shows you, to your point, like it could cause some tension. And Kurt might have been like, "Oh, Dave, you want to do these little side things?" No, if your heart's not completely in this band, the band's done. I quit for the band. I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna disband altogether because of you even bringing this up in the first place. So it could happen.
Yep.
I mean, who knows, man?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Wow.
And
Yeah.
Grohl,
There's a lot of
was
good
in,
what ifs off the Cobain death, obviously.
he was in Scream, the hardcore punk band. Even before Nirvana. So that that really cements the thought that this dude can't sit still. So if he would have done something
He'd have
else,
found his way.
Yeah. So if it was Foos or some other form of Foos, we would have got something else.
Hey, it might have even been Josh Freese, like we were talking about earlier. He's in every band. Like Dave played session drums on like Killing Joke, one of their albums. Like he's a session guy, like you said, Tony.
Nails. He did a couple Nails songs.
Nine Inch Nails. Yep. So many different projects. Can't sit still.
Yep.
And then what's the bassist name for Nirvana?
Chris Novoselic.
Yeah, well, you were saying something about politics earlier. That guy went into politics.
Yeah. There's in Portland. There's a bowling alley, Bayside Bowl. He appeared there in the last 2 or 3 years. He was
Really?
rallying behind some cause, some political thing, and I saw him. He was kind of in the corner, and people were interviewing him. I forget what the cause was, but yeah, he went down that route.
Wow.
Huh. I did not know that.
Yeah.